Chapter 39. Allah makes His religion triumphant through the people of abasement. Sincerity appears in the servant who no longer sees anything except God. Wherever he looks, he sees nothing but the disclosures of his Lord. This state manifests more easily in the heart of one who has experienced abasement, because such a person no longer concerns himself with illness, poverty, or even the words of those who consider him miserable and vile. The people of abasement have experienced the fall. They have known rejection to the point that it matters little to them whether they are considered sorcerers or saints. This is sincerity. If you truly understand this and clothe yourself with these characteristics, you will not merely achieve 70 readings, but endless readings, since you will have known your Lord through completely different and even opposing disclosures. To taste this, it is essential for you to accompany a realized Shaykh who will lead you to absent yourself from your state and from the illusion of your personhood. Why is this Shaykh essential? Because he himself has experienced and achieved all the stages of the spiritual journey. This is what makes him a complete Shaykh, Kamil, and he will lead the disciple to know God in all of his disclosures. He will constantly reveal different facets that may sometimes surprise you. We can compare this to the angel of hell, who is luminous and close to his Lord, while having a frightening appearance. He thus unites two things that are nevertheless opposites. Why is this important from the disciple's perspective? Because the Hadra, the divine presence, unites opposites within itself. It unites Jamal, divine beauty, and Jalal, divine majesty. And one of the greatest problems of the disciple is that he fears Jalal, divine majesty. When it manifests to him, he tries to flee because he refuses abasement and humiliation. How can you anchor yourself in the lordly presence if you are like a leaf that flies away at the slightest gust of wind? On the contrary, when divine majesty discloses itself to you, you must be like a palm tree, firmly rooted in the earth. God says, "And when Moses came to our appointed meeting, and his Lord spoke unto him, he said, My Lord, show me that I might look upon thee. He said, Thou shalt not see me, but look upon the mountain. If it remains firm in its place, then thou wilt see me. And when his Lord disclosed himself to the mountain, he made it crumble to dust, and Moses fell down in a swoon. And when he recovered, he said, Glory be to thee. I turn unto thee in repentance, and I am the first of the believers." Through his book, God gives us all the keys necessary to achieve spiritual ascension, and the Prophet ﷺ explains them to us in numerous ahadiths. The light, the darbala, the siyaha are regularly mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah to guide the disciple towards annihilation, towards fana. Indeed, the seeker must be like the mountain mentioned in the previous verse. He must be pulverized in the divine presence. The pulverization of his nafs involves destroying his illusory habits. He used to wear beautiful clothes, and now he must dress in a patched cloak. He used to travel by car or plane, and now he must practice siyaha, spiritual wandering, while finding himself humiliated, belittled, and mocked by the people. These are the people who were annihilated in the lordly presence by tasting abasement. The Sufis have implemented these verses in both their apparent and hidden meanings. They do not merely pray or fast in an outward manner. They have realized the reality, the haqiqah of prayer and fasting, so as to make it complete. If we take the example of prayer, it is enough for the Muslim to perform the required gestures accompanied by the words glorifying the Lord and with the right intention to accomplish the outward aspect of prayer. However, he remains entirely cut off from its hidden reality. And what is this reality? It is as the Prophet described when he said, prayer is light. In other words, the believer who truly performs prayer must be completely immersed in the light from the moment he enters with the first takbir until the end of the prayer with the taslim. This hadith, like all understandings of spiritual realities, is disliked by jurists. They have often warned against the people of true Tawheed, such as Hallaj or Shaykh Abu Yazid Bistami. May God sanctify their secret. They have read some of their sayings, but were unable to understand them, due to their hearts still being blind to essential realities. The reality is that Sufis are those who have achieved perfect servanthood by taking the nafs out of its comfort zone and habits in order to know its different aspects. They have confronted it with humiliation, poverty, and asceticism, and thus they realize tawakkul, complete trust in God, submission, and divine love. Once again, this is why the realized Shaykh is indispensable to the Murid Suluk, since he perfectly knows the degrees of the nafs and possesses the knowledge and secrets through which these souls will realize their return to the Lord. When you meet him, he asks about your life and problems. He asks if everything is well and inquires about your loved ones. And you respond, thinking he is unaware. But the reality is that he already knows everything. He knows your condition, your problems, and the condition of your loved ones. He knows your entire life better than you do. If this were not the case, how could he educate anyone? The Shaykh sometimes pretends to be completely ignorant and veils himself from creation. He manifests pure ubudiyah, servanthood, by fully complying with the Sharia, the Islamic law, and he observes the disciples as they reveal their intentions and hidden realities. Some disciples sometimes think that the Shaykh is an old ignoramus or even a charlatan. There are even those who consider the Shaykh as a footstool from which they hope to rise to higher stations. The Shaykh will reveal his reality little by little as his disciple advances in the knowledge of God. At the same time, the seeker will also experience increasing love and ta'zim, reverence for the Shaykh in his heart, allowing him to advance even more quickly. Indeed, lack of regard for the Shaykh is a significant obstacle in the murid's spiritual journey. There are also other obstacles, such as the search for miracles. If this is your case, know that the disciple only attains this miracles upon entering the Shadda reading of the name Allah. It is at this stage of the journey that the faqir has erased from his heart all consideration for physical and ephemeral forms. It is here that he achieves full spiritual realization. If he attains karama, miracles, before this, it will be one of the greatest veils for him and could even cause his downfall. You may ask yourself, why does the Shaykh ask me these questions if he already knows the answers? These questions are profound, for they are a test for the disciple. Sayyidina Ali says, to recognize an arif, we need only to listen to his words. And the Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith, the believer does not lie. The Shaykh questions the disciple to determine if he is worthy of the marifah to which he aspires, and whether he is truthful or not. For example, you visit the Shaykh and he asks you about your relationship with the Nur. You tell him that you see it regularly, while he knows perfectly well that you haven't seen it for a long time. Now you are lying. If this happens more than 3 times, your heart will receive the seal of liar, and everything you subsequently see will be nothing but a succession of evidence against you. Lying is an extremely serious act. On the Day of Judgment, God will ask some people if they have stolen during their lives, and they will deny it completely. They will deny it until their own hands rise up and acknowledge the sin, thus testifying against them. This is why the Shaykh gradually reveals himself to his disciple. Through this, he leads him to sincerity and truthfulness. The Prophet said, whoever lies about me, let him prepare his place in hell. Now, the light that you perceive is the spirit of the Prophet ﷺ. So if you begin to lie about this light, you are lying about the chosen one ﷺ. What then can we say about the one who, fearing people, begins speaking of a third eye in reference to the Muhammadan spirit? This is something very serious. Become aware of the haqiqah of this light and understand that this is not a game. Sincerity in the path is one of the foundations upon which you must build your spiritual journey and your relationship with God. Indeed, you will not be questioned about the sciences you have accumulated in this world, but about the purity of your nafs and your degree of knowledge of Tawheed. This is the sole objective of the people of Tarbiyah, the people of spiritual education. They are not there to teach you the exoteric sciences, but to lead you to the maqam of divine satisfaction and to a nafs freed from its negative inclinations. You must therefore constantly question your nafs. This is what the Messenger of God said when addressing Sayyidina Abu Adhar al-Ghifari. Hold yourself to account before you are held to account. We will not be questioned about the number of books we have read, but about the purity of our heart. And this comes only through the light. This is why the people of Tarbiyah have transmitted this light into the hearts of their disciples. With an illuminated heart, the disciple attains basira, luminous inner vision, and becomes able to continuously examine himself and judge himself until he accomplishes the death of his nafs. It is then that he will be truly alive, in accordance with the Quranic verse, and deem not those slain in the way of God to be dead. Rather, they are alive with their Lord, provided for. If you hope to avoid the difficulties of the Day of Judgment, reflect on the hadith that tells us the first group of men who enter paradise will have the splendor of the full moon. Those who follow them will have the brilliance of the brightest star in the firmament. Do you want to know where you stand with respect to this hadith? All you need to do is wait for Maghrib and look for the brightest star in the sky. Compare it to the one in your heart, if you are counted among the people of the Muhammadan light. And if you see the one in your heart as brighter, then you will quickly enter paradise by the grace of God. If you do not have this light, even if you study sciences all your life, it will not prevent you from experiencing terror on the Day of Judgment or ending up in the depths of hell. Therefore, seek purification at all times, for it is certain that crossing the bridge of Sirat will be an unparalleled test, and men will only be able to cross it according to their light. You may be the greatest tightrope walker in the world, yet you will be unable to walk on this bridge that is as thin as a hair and as sharp as a sword, unless you have this light. God will give every Muslim a light. One who spent his entire life denigrating it will then know that it truly exists when it is extinguished, revealing his hypocritical status and casting him into the depths of hell. This is why the Shaykh gives the light to all who ask for it, so that each may discover his reality and can no longer lie to himself. The people of perfect faith will be carried by this light to paradise. Then they will be raised to Yawmul Mazid, and God will then perfect their light. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد.